Hey y'all, Bloodwing here, back to bring some grumpiness to your internet, and welcome back to Redneck Radio, the live stream where today you get an extra healthy side helping of chocolate ice cream. And I only say that because I've got some chocolate ice cream in the freezer and I hear it calling my name. With me today is I believe, a first-time guest, Cynical Lindsay.
Hello, hello. I am first-time guest.
Yeah. I've known of Lindsay for quite some time, but we've never actually crossed paths other than the occasional tweet and seeing each other in chats and so forth. But welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Saturday, for some reason, is usually a hard time to come up with guests. I don't know why. Probably because everybody's out doing their own thing.
Yeah.
On Saturday. But yeah, it feels like it's been forever, even though I only missed one stream. You get in the habit of doing something, and it's it just and you don't do it once, and it just feels like it's been forever ago. But oh, Mama Minnie out there in the chat. Hey, baby.
Hey, Mama Minnie.
But yeah, couldn't stream Thursday because they put me to work right away. So for those of you that don't know, and I'll give a quick rundown because everybody keeps asking me. I went in for an interview Wednesday, and Thursday they hired me and put me right to work that day. So I worked Thursday and yesterday. I'm really sore and tired today because I'm not used to it. And yesterday was truck day. So when they got their truck in, so that put me through the moves. But yeah, they've really pushed this thing quick. They don't pay on a paycheck. They pay on like a debit card. I guess a lot of companies are doing that these days. And I've already got my pay card. So they really pushed it through. And the lady's already talking to me. She's like, hey, listen, if you want to get into management, I'll push you through.
Oh, hell yeah.
I just applied for a part-time job. I'm not even thinking about management yet, but okay. But I do like it. It seems to be a great bunch of people. I'm the only male in the whole store. And they are all so short. I don't think there's an individual there that's over, like, say, 5'3", and I'm 6 foot tall, and I feel like a giant. Which makes me handy because it's like, hey, can you grab that up on the top shelf for me? Well, shoot, someone could have told me, congrats. I thought you knew, baby. You and your sister don't communicate anymore. But
wow, it's like some dad you are. Not telling everyone.
I've been busy, which brings up another thing. There will not be an episode of Redneck Trek this week. I'm sorry. I did get it recorded, but I haven't got any of the sound recorded or any of the editing done. And I kept thinking, well, I'll get it tonight when I get home from work. Well, I got home from work, got in my chair, and I fell asleep both nights. I've been out of work for 4 years, crippled up in a chair before my surgery. And I'm way out of shape. My back and hips is just killing me, but I'll get used to it.
Yeah. Now, how are your legs holding up?
They're sore, but slightly less sore than my back and hips. My back is taking the brunt of it, because even though, Thursday I worked from 1:30 to 7. Yesterday I worked from 1 to 8, and I rarely sat down the whole time. And my body's just not used to that right now. But I'll get back to it.
Yeah, it's just a matter. Yeah, just getting. I mean, you've been out of work for 4 years. It's a matter of just getting into the swing of things.
Yeah, and I mean, they're really pushing this thing. I even ran the register for a little bit yesterday. They said, well, we want you to run the register for a minute, and I'm like, You sure? This is only my second day, and you really haven't told me how. I've just been standing back here watching. Oh, yeah, go ahead. You'll be fine. Which I was okay until somebody come up wanting to buy a lottery ticket, which I have not been trained on yet. And I looked at the girl training me. I said, Kim, you're going to have to take this over. I apologize to the guys. Look, I'm new. I don't know how to do this, so I'm going to have to get somebody else.
A smoke shop that sells lottery tickets?
Oh, yeah. They do big lottery business.
Wow.
See, they're right next door to a bar, a redneck bar.
Oh.
And if you don't believe it's redneck, it's called the Big Dog Saloon. You don't get much more redneck than
yeah.
that. They sell a little bit of everything, really. I mean, they're primarily a smoke shop. They sell cigarettes, of course. They sell the bulk tobacco in tubes, for those of us like me that make their own. Pipes, pipe tobacco, smokeless tobacco, vaping supplies, vapes and vaping supplies, which is probably I know the least about in the shop. They also sell paraphernalia, for those that smoke that wacky backy, but we're not allowed to call them by their real names. We can't say, oh, you want this bong here? We have to call it either a glass pipe or a water bowl. It's company policy. They sell knickknacks. They got one rack that's got work gloves in it. So a little bit of everything. They got a huge cigar section, though. Their cases are actually humidors, and they're taller than I am, and there's 4 of them for just the cigars. Lady, the manager says, she says, I want this to be your baby because the girls here are afraid of the cigars because they're women and they don't know nothing about cigars. So I've got to learn those really well. But yeah, I like it. They laugh at my jokes. They've got the same kind of humor. I mean, my very first day at work, I was already insulting my manager playfully. And the district manager was there as well, the assistant district manager that day. And she looked at me and she says, well, that's not very nice. You work for her now. And for a second, she got me. She had me for a second. And then she immediately turned around and said the exact same thing I did to my manager and insulted her. Said, you had me for a minute. But yeah, I like it.
That's good, though. That's good because it seems like no matter where you work now, it's like people can't take jokes. So you're really lucky.
Yeah, they seem to have a really good sense of humor. There's one girl there that claims that she can beat me at rock and roll trivia, and I'm like, "You're on, come on." And she's a lot younger than I am too. I said, "Remember, I grew up in the '70s. I've got a little advantage on you here." But I'm not going to take it easy on you. But while I'm on the subject, I've already said there's not going to be a Redneck Trek this week. I'm sorry. I just couldn't get to it. I was too tired and too wore out. For the next 2 weeks, I will be in training, which means I'll be working mostly weekdays. So Tuesday and Thursday, there will not be a stream. And the following Tuesday and Thursday, there will not be a stream. I don't work the weekends, so Saturday's still a go. And I will try to get Redneck Trek out next Sunday. I'll get used to this. My body will get accustomed to it as it goes along, and hopefully I'll have enough gumption by the end of next week to put it together. But after that, after training, which I get a 50-cent raise on the hour after training's over, and it's just 2 weeks, then I will be working mostly weekends and maybe a weekday or 2. So I should be able to get pretty much back to my regular streaming schedule. But it's going to take a couple of weeks. And so I just wanted to let everybody know, don't be surprised if there's no stream on Tuesday or Thursday. Smoking G tobacco there. I'm not familiar with every brand yet. I'm still learning. They very well, they've got a little bit of everything. It's actually a part of a chain. It's a chain of tobacco stores that's all over my state, and I think some other Midwestern states. It's called Low Bob's. Um, but yeah, they carry a lot of. They had some stuff there that I almost thought about buying. They're like smokeless tobacco pouches, but they got coffee in them instead of tobacco.
Ooh.
I'm like, I might have to give that a try. But yeah, I really enjoy it. I mean, other than it's hard on my body. I like the people I work with. It really doesn't seem much like work. They're very laid back, very casual. You can wear jeans, t-shirts, whatever you want. You just can't wear open-toed shoes, which is no problem for me. I probably haven't wore flip-flops in years. And you can't wear shorts, which again is no problem for me because I haven't wore those in years. Thank you, Cryptic, for the donation. Who allowed this old guy back in the workforce? I know, right? It's crazy. But she said the reason she wanted to hire me and get it pushed through because I was so insistent because I kept going over there and checking on it. Wouldn't let her forget me. I think it was just a few streams ago we were talking about, when you're applying for a job, you got to make yourself stand out from the crowd because you're not going to be the only one. And it worked in this case. It certainly did. But there was one part because she looks at me. I'm almost 60. So she sees a boomer in front of her. And her question was, do you know much about computers? And I just busted out laughing. Because I know what she thinks. Oh, well, the boomers don't know anything about computers. They're illiterate. And I said, sweetheart, I could probably take your computer down, take it apart, upgrade it, put it back together in the dark. I said, and I run a small YouTube channel. Oh, you do? Yeah. And I've taught myself, I'm self-taught on how to edit videos and edit my sound and all that. So I doubt there's anything that you can put me through here that I can't figure out.
It's like, and that amazes me because my parents are polar opposites when it comes to technology. My dad, he knows how to operate a computer and knows how to do all that stuff. He's on social media or at least on Facebook. And then my mom, on the other hand, she does not really know anything about how to get on a computer. I remember as a kid, she would ask me to set the clock on the VCR because she didn't know how to.
That was my mom. My mom's gone now, of course, but yeah, if it was left up to my mom, every clock in the house would be flashing 12, because she'd be honest. She says, I don't know nothing about the technology and I don't want to know anything about it. Now my dad, on the other hand, he doesn't anymore because, he's got the dementia thing going on, but he was real quick to jump on computers and get online and, and all that stuff. But mom says, no, don't care nothing about it. Don't even know how to turn on your dad's computer. And I don't want to know how. I said, well, okay, mom, good for you.
It amazes me seeing videos of millennials and Gen Z kids trying to operate stuff like a cassette player and a rotary phone. I'm just sitting here cracking up like, oh God, I feel so old because I remember that stuff when I was a kid.
Oh, the rotary phone? Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, I didn't really start seeing cordless phones, which was the next step was the push button phones, which came out in the mid 60s, somewhere around in there, I think. It's when they got popular. But then the next step from that was to go cordless. And that wasn't until the very early 80s the cordless phones started showing up. So yeah, even after I got married, I had, rotary telephones. And those dudes were heavy.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to hit somebody with one of those because you'd probably kill them. You would probably kill him. Yeah, John Connor says, glad you're enjoying your new job. I am. Thank you. And Beth Castleman says, no problem. And I'm assuming that I'm going to miss some streams here. I just don't know what else to do about it unless I scheduled them earlier. But right now, like I said, I'm still just trying to get my body used to this. You know, I just sit in my chair and recuperate till it's time to go to work so I can go to work.
John Connor says, don't forget party lines.
Yeah. We when I was a kid, we had a party line. Absolutely, we did. And I think somebody's donated to my Streamlabs. Hold on, let's get over there and let it load for some reason. Ah, there we go. Thank you, Pumpkin Trucker, for the donation. So, do you have Prince Albert in a can? Better let him out, boy. I would say that I've never used that joke when I was a kid, but I'd be a liar. That is an old joke. Right up there with, is your refrigerator running?
Oh, God, yeah.
Well, you better catch it. Actually, I remember the first time Deck Train mentions car phones that I seen a car phone. I worked as assistant service manager at a Honda dealer, and the owner of the dealership had a Rolls Royce, and I was the only one that he would let touch it for whatever reason. I don't know. But he'd leave his keys for me. I'd go in his office and go gas it up for him, and what have you, wash it probably. And when the guy owns the business you work for, you do whatever he wants to, even if that's not your job description. And he had one of those old car phones in the back. You opened the lid and it was in a box. You pulled it out and you had to get a hold of the mobile operator, to connect you. Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, my father-in-law actually had a car phone. At least that's what my husband told me.
Yeah. They were kind of neat. They were the precursors to the cell phone, to the mobile phone. So,
or if you think about it, OnStar, really.
Yeah. Badger says, what do you mean you're out of shape? You're fully in shape. It's just quite an uncommon shape. Is true. But I'm not in too bad a shape for the shape I'm in. So.
Oh, and it amazes me because it seems like, yeah, it's true. It seems like the older you get, the more like your body starts doing weird things. Because I remember about 6 years ago, my husband and I, we went into the Black Sabbath concert. They had their reunion show.
Mhm.
And afterwards, I was sore from head to toe. And I was just like, wait a minute, like 10 years ago when I was in my 20s,
Yeah,
I could go to a concert, no problem, jump around, headbang, no problem. And then now it's like, geez, I came close to breaking nearly every bone in my body.
Yeah. I Data. Hey, Data and Unholy Reaper. Yeah, it's not so much anything physical that I've done that's hurting me. It's the standing in one spot behind the counter, and it's just killing my back. Feels like my back's just compressing in on itself down by my tailbone, in my lower back. Oh boy.
Yeah, my problem was my feet, because when I had a standing job, because I used to work for Texaco many, many, many years ago. It was like I was 19 or 20, and I would stand for 9 or 8, 9 hours, and my feet would be killing me afterwards.
Yeah. My feet were hurting pretty good, but my back and hips were screaming so loud I didn't pay no attention to my feet. But every once in a while, and the boss kept saying, you could sit down, you could sit. They're very laid back. As long as all the basics get done, customers get served and they're handled correctly, and they're just very laid back, extremely laid back. And it's a good work environment. I really like it. Yesterday, the boss called and wanted me to text her so that she would have my phone number in her cell phone. She had it at the office, but she was at home and she wants it in her cell phone. So I texted her, "Here's your sign." And she just cracked up. But yeah, that was my first sign that I was going to fit in well there, because they were all laughing at my jokes, and they still laugh at my jokes. So, and I'm what you hear here is pretty much how I am in real life. I don't have any problem talking to strangers at all. And people walk in the door and I'm like, "Hey, how you doing, bud? What's going on?" And yesterday, twice, two different people says, "That's why we need you here." I said, "Why is that?" Says, "Because you talk the guy talk and you can relate to him." I said, "Well, yeah, I am a guy. I guess I do." But yeah, back in the workforce. It's just going to take me some time, fellas, to work out yeah, Mama Minnie's a stranger. What's a stranger? Her personality's a lot like mine, very much like mine. But yeah, it's just going to take me some time to get my body in shape and work out a schedule. So my content might be a little scarce for the next couple of weeks, but don't worry, the channel's not shutting down. I'm not going to abandon it. I just got to figure out how it's all going to work. Right now, for the 2 weeks that I'm training, I'm putting in almost full-time hours, 35 hours each week. But then after training, according to her, now that may change, it'll drop down to about 20 hours, for part-time work. But we'll see what happens. We'll see. We get a lot of half-drunk folks in there because being next door to the bar.
Oh, yeah.
They come over there to buy cigarettes or to use our ATM, because we got an ATM inside, because our ATM is at a cheaper rate than the bars is. So they'll come over and use ours, and the waitresses over in the bar will come over to our shop to take smoke break, because we allow smoking inside. And so the waitresses, when they get their breaks, instead of standing outside in the cold, will just come over to our shop and smoke. But yeah, it's so far I like it. I like it a lot.
Oh, good.
Just wish my body liked it.
Well, again, yeah, you've been out of work for 4 years. It's going to take you some time.
Yeah, it'll get used to it. And my manager says, you can sit down. There's a couple of more chairs back there in the office. I don't care, as long as, things are getting done. I don't care.
Well, I can only guess your doctor advised you, after your surgery, that you're going to need to move around.
Yeah.
Get the circulation going.
Yeah. Well, his first words to me were, "No restrictions. Just go get it." What are we talking about? What are we talking about here? Do you go on walks for some extra? Oh, Mom, it says, "We wish Data he doesn't take care of himself."
Oh,
I wish I could say she's wrong, but she's not wrong. She's not wrong. But their big concern, as I had mentioned in the previous stream that I did, was over the lottery. And I watched them doing the lottery, and I'm thinking, why were they concerned over this? It looks easy. I mean, I don't know how yet because they haven't trained me, but I'm watching what they're doing. I said, this don't look hard. This don't look hard at all. The only hard part is you get people wanting to buy the scratch offs, and they'll say, I want a 29, a number 29, a number, 3 number 20s, a couple of number 10s, and a number 5. And they'll just say it real fast. I'm like, what? Slow down. Say that again real slow.
That reminds me of the times when I used to work at the gas station. We sold lottery tickets, and scratch tickets weren't, it was a pain in the ass doing inventory by the end of my shift and having to count the scratcher tickets.
Yep.
But other than that, I loved the lottery machine, how people could just fill out their lottery numbers and then they just hand me the slip of paper and I just slip it right through the machine.
Yeah. Now the lottery tickets, ours here have a number on the backside at the bottom. They've got several numbers, but there's one particular number that's actually its number. The next one will in line on the roll will
Mhm.
be one number higher, and then the next one number higher. So we just look at the numbers on the end to take our tally of the scratch offs.
Mhm.
That's the booger part. Is every day when they start and every night when you close out, you've got to count the cigarettes. That includes all the single packs. So you got to count every single pack in the place before you can go home, and every carton.
Yep. Oh boy.
But
Definitely don't miss those days.
the cartons aren't bad because there's not as many as the single packs.
Mhm.
But what made counting the single packs was so hard was we're required to ask for a birth date on every purchase, even if you're obviously 85 years old. We're going to ask you for a birthday because the software on our cash registers won't let you past it. You got to put a birth date in. And if you look younger than 40, we're supposed to card you with a picture ID.
Oh, interesting.
That way, that cuts out anybody that looks older than they really are sliding by,
Mhm.
And obviously, if they look really young, and my problem is everybody looks young to me.
Yeah.
But if they look really young, you're obviously going to card them, But and we had to take a test on that. They make you take a test on tobacco sales. It's not just us. Anybody that sells tobacco, I think, has to take that test.
Mhm.
But at any rate, I be there counting the cigarettes, and the way it's set up, you just count a row of them, and then you write down that count. Then you count the next row, and you wrote down that count. I'd be counting a row of them, be halfway through it. Somebody is at the cash register given their birth date, oh, 5/19 of 57, and I'll just stop and go, crap, because it kept interrupting me. My subconscious would hear those numbers, and I'm like, oh shoot. So yeah, that's a little bit of a pain, but.
Well, what I would hate doing is I'm in the middle of counting cigarettes before the end of my shift, and I'll get people at the register, and then I have to stop midway to help them out, and then I'd have to remember where exactly I left off at when I was doing my
And there'll
cigarette count.
probably be times like that, but these last 2 days, there's 2 of us that were training.
Mhm.
There's one girl that's been training. Actually, her last day as a trainee was yesterday, and then I've only been here 2 days. So, and then another girl that was training us. So we had plenty of hands in the store, So that worked out okay. What I'm not looking forward to is I think it's next Wednesday. The 2 trainees are scheduled to work, and that's it.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll be in my first week of legit training, and she'll just be in her first week out of training. And I'm like, oh, what was the manager's phone number again? May need that. But yeah, working good. I don't want to spend the whole stream talking about it, but I mean, of course I want to talk about it. It's important to me.
Mhm.
It's a big
Of course.
deal to me. But you know,
Well, it's like I heard rock trivia and my ears kind of perked up at that. Like,
yeah, this girl thinks she can outdo me, and I'm sorry, I'm pretty tough to beat. If we're talking 80s and back,
mhm.
I'm pretty tough to beat. Now, you get me on the 80s, yeah, you might get me on a few, but 80s back, pretty tough to beat. And then I don't know how old this girl is, but I am guessing in her mid to late 20s. And I'm thinking, I lived through that era, sweetheart. You only read about it. How do you think you're going to beat me? But she swears she can. She's like, challenge accepted.
That's why it's like I'm jealous of people like you because you actually got to grow up in that era from, especially the 70s. I can't imagine getting to see like those big rock acts from back then.
Oh, my very first concert, I've mentioned this before. My very first concert was Queen. during the Night at the Opera tour, which was the album that Bohemian Rhapsody come off of.
Oh, wow.
So that was my very first concert at 15 years old, and it was just as awesome as you can imagine. Great, great concert. But yeah, I've seen a lot of. I've seen Sabbath before.
I've seen them. Yeah.
Before Ozzy left.
Hmm.
I've seen Van Halen before anybody here in Indiana even knew who they were. They were just some band from California.
Oh, wow.
They were actually the warm-up band for Sabbath during that tour. And
so this had to be like what, 77 or 78? Because I think their first album was 78, I think.
yeah, it was. And it was just before their first album hit. Or it had hit like at the West Coast and so forth, but not here in Central America, Central USA. It hadn't hit here. We hadn't heard about them.
Mm-hmm.
But they sure got our attention. Like I said, it was toward the end with Black Sabbath, and you could tell they kind of phoned it in.
Mm-hmm.
And Ozzy was so wasted. It was so obvious he could barely walk. And I mean, the concert was good, but it could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
But when Van Halen played, everybody was like, "Who the heck are these boys?" Wow. But
yeah, David Lee Roth is quite the front man. It's like, yeah, there's a reason why people prefer that era of Van Halen. I mean, nothing against Sammy Hagar. Sammy Hagar is very talented, but
well, I prefer David Lee Roth.
Yeah, me too.
Van Halen over the much prefer. And I get it. David is a jerk. As a person, he's a huge jerk.
Mm-hmm.
He'll even admit that he's a huge jerk. And he rubs people the wrong way. Everybody. I get it. He's hard to get along with, but I thought he was a much better front man. I liked his voice better.
I agree. Yeah. It's so strange because everyone in my family except me prefer the Sammy Hagar era, which is just really weird because it seems like everyone else thinks that, oh no, David Lee Roth was the better frontman, which I'm in that camp.
Yeah. I mean, and yeah, of course, it's probably a little nostalgia, but I think that, the entirety of my teen years were in the 70s. I graduated high school in 1978. I was 10 years old in 1970. So all of my teen years were in the 70s. And I think it was, if not the greatest, it was one of the greatest eras for rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
That has stood the test of time. You still hear it today. I mean, you hear many more 70s rock and roll on commercials and movies today than any other era.
Yeah.
It's just a great time. Great time for music. Except for disco, but I consider that an aberration and don't count it.
That's my guilty pleasure. I'm not gonna lie. I know disco sucks, but I can't help but listen to it sometimes.
Well, my wife likes it too, so I'm not gonna beat up on you too.
Hey, come on! It's like the Bee Gees were part of that whole disco scene.
Yeah, I know,
and they were very talented.
They were talented. They got the reputation of being a disco band, but they weren't always.
That's true. They didn't start off as in the whole disco scene. They've been around since the 60s.
Yeah. Yep. But no. Now I love old school funk, like Parliament and Funkadelic and Lakeside and Ohio Players and all that stuff, which is what disco came from. Rap also came from that. I don't much like rap either.
I'm not.
But
it's only a couple of artists I like from the whole hip hop rap genre. But other than that, yeah, I'm the same way. I don't get it. Like,
yeah.
Well, it's exactly like what you said. I can understand it from an artistic perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, it is artistry. It is an art. I will grant them that. I just don't feel it's music.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely more of like a poetic type of genre than anything else.
But that's just my opinion, folks. Don't beat me up over it. Sorry. Hey, and I have given it a try. Yeah. I've listened. I've tried. Just can't do it.
Hey, you know what? I've said before in the chat that I think the Beatles are overrated. Not to say I don't hate them. It's just there's other bands from the 60s British invasion that I prefer.
Well, so many of the bands, and the big ones I'm talking about, like the Beatles, the Stones,
Mhm.
uh, anything that included slow hand in it,
Mhm. Yeah.
uh, all of those, and they had a lot of super groups back in the 70s, especially the late 60s,
Yep.
that put together, were hugely influential in what came after. I just feel that the Beatles were the most influential.
Yeah.
Love them or hate them, and I happen to love them. I'm very into them. But
Mhm.
love them or hate them, you can't deny the influence they've had on music.
Oh, I absolutely agree. You listen to certain bands and you can tell, like, yeah, you can hear a little bit of that Beatles touch to their music. Like every time I hear ELO, and I love ELO,
Oh yeah,
but you can definitely tell that Jeff Lynne was very influenced by the Beatles.
yeah, yeah. And I get it. There's a lot of people that don't like the Beatles. One of the problems is they've been oversaturated, uh, probably.
Yeah.
Oversaturation. I get the same thing here as I've mentioned in the stream before. I've got nothing against John Cougar Mellencamp, but I
Mhm.
almost can't stand him anymore because he's a Hoosier boy.
Yeah.
And you turn on the radio here, you will hear at least one Mellencamp song an hour, at least, if
Well,
not two.
well, it's like I like AC/DC's music, but I
Yeah.
swear if I hear Back in Black or You Shook Me All Night Long one more time, I'm gonna blow my brains out, you know. I just prefer other AC/DC songs I think are better, but that's just my opinion.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Michael.
Don't worry about it. You were late. He told me earlier on Twitter he was going to spend some time with his granddaughter. So, hey, that's more
Mhm.
important, dude. Spend time with them when you can.
Absolutely.
Good grief. Yeah.
Yeah, I see Beth says my teen years was in the 90s. Me too. That to me, I was really fortunate growing up in the 90s and I thought that there was some great bands and artists from the 90s, you know.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, grunge
Yeah,
came up, and I know some people don't like grunge, but I do. I
I
like
do
some
too.
of the grunge, and
Yeah, I like Nirvana. It's I listened to my favorite Nirvana album is their Unplugged album in New York. It's just some of the best stuff I've ever heard.
yeah, it's good. It's good. And every decade has its good music. Um, it does. It's just I feel the '70s has more lasting power and have been more of an influence over rock and roll that came
Mhm.
after it than any other decade. I believe that the '70s rock and roll will last the test of time. I mean, 50 years from now, you'll still be hearing it somewhere, you know, and not so sure that we'll be hearing anything from 2019.
Yeah.
uh,
Well, and what I thought was really interesting, especially dating back to the 60s, is how you had all these different musicians that kind of intertwined in different bands. You know, like say you have Ginger Baker, who was in Cream, and then he moves on to Traffic, and I think Eric Clapton was in Traffic too. Um,
he was in so many
yeah.
bands back in the day. He was everywhere. Clapton was darn near ubiquitous
Hmm.
in the late '60s. Um, I don't remember. You very well could be right. I'd have to look it up. But he was in so many, it'd
Yeah.
be excusable to forget one.
Yeah. It's like you had the Yardbirds, Cream, Traffic,
Yeah.
and there was that. What was the one? Ah, the one where the song Layla. It was like, oh, Derek and the Dominoes. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know
that
the one.
was him in the '70s coming out
Mhm.
with his own band there for a while. Well, he called it Eric and the Dominoes. But
Oh, Yeah.
Yeah. And yes, that was the water being turned on, Mom. She knows the sound of this house. She lived here long enough. Um, Beach Boys, I love the Beach Boys, and they were very influential. Um, People hear Beach Boys and they think, oh, it's just all beach party music. And a lot of it was.
Mhm.
But their album Pet Sounds was very groundbreaking
Yeah.
and set the rules for a lot of bands and albums to come after. So yeah.
Well, weren't the Beatles influenced, or didn't Pet Sounds influence them into making Sergeant Pepper's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. It did. Um Dog, I need to go murder another neighbor. Uh-oh. That sounds serious.
Yeah, it's like, what can I say? Music is my passion. It's ever since
Well,
I was in my teens, that's just been my thing. That was how I spent my time in my teens, was just locked up in my room, just listening to records.
well, it's been a very big part of my life.
Mhm.
Mama Minnie will confirm this, and she's much the same way. I'm very, very music oriented. In fact, at my new job, one of the first things I told them is, look, don't pay no attention to me because I'm a singer. I will bust out singing without even
Yeah.
really knowing that I'm singing. I'll just be walking around here singing. So don't. Oh no, that's fine. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
And it was funny you mentioned ACDC earlier. An ACDC song come on the radio because they do play the radio
yeah.
on a classic rock station. Uh, uh, Play it pretty loud in there. Actually, it almost gives you the vibe of the old school head shops out of the 70s.
Oh, that's
Not
cool.
quite, but almost. And anyway, I was even playing the air guitar when they were laughing. But yeah.
You know, it kind of reminds me when I saw Rush for the first time.
Oh,
And I had no shame. I was there just playing air guitar. I got into an air guitar duel with a guy who's probably like old enough to be my dad.
yeah. Now, see, and you know this, I think that's
Mhm.
one of my passions right there is
Yep, me
Rush.
too. Me too.
Have you ever seen? And being a Rush fan, I'm absolutely sure you have. YYZ live from Brazil.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
I've been in some good concert crowds, but that crowd was nuts,
Mhm.
dancing to the beat. And the YYZ is an instrumental, folks, and they were singing it. They were singing the instrumental back to the band. That Brazilian crowd, they're crazy. They're on another level.
Well, those guys it's just three guys.
Yeah.
And they sound like a whole orchestra. It's amazing. Like with what Geddy Lee does with his feet, with the synthesizer, using
Yeah.
that, the pedals and plus his bass. It's crazy.
And and yes, we're going to talk Rush for a minute here. In my opinion, they're all maestros. They're masters of their craft.
Absolutely.
You would get no argument from anyone that Neil Peart is a master percussionist.
Oh
And I
yeah.
say percussionist because he's not just a drummer; he is a percussionist.
Hmm.
Geddy Lee is absolutely revered as one of the best rock bass players. Some of the things he does on bass is just
Yeah.
phenomenal. But what gets lost in the shuffle is poor old Alex Life.
I know. It's like, hey, don't leave Alex in the corner here, because I consider him one of the best guitar players
Alex
of all time.
is a great guitar player, and on any other band, he would have been the standout.
Hmm.
But put together on Rush with the,
Yeah.
it's just like, okay. And then, oh, there's Neil Peart, there's Geddy Lee, and there's Alex.
Mhm.
He just kind of gets lost in the shuffle sometimes.
But no, it's like they play off of each other so well, though. I mean, the way how they compose the music and how they just perform, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, whether you believe that Neil is one of the greatest percussionists in rock or ever, which I do,
Mhm.
I think he's the greatest rock percussionist. The greatest rock drummer now is John Bonham. but
Oh, yeah, yeah.
the rock percussionist would be Neil Peart. But what makes him so great is he's extremely great at writing for the drums,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's what sets him apart. Um, he does some very complicated things. And I tried to play the drums when I was younger.
It's not easy.
In the 70s, everybody had a band. Everybody did, and I was the drummer, and so I've got enough knowledge to know that what he's doing ain't easy. He makes it look easy, but it ain't easy.
No, no, yeah.
But it's not so much the difficulty of what he's doing, it's just that it fits so well with everything else going on. These guys, that's what makes them so great in my mind. They
Mhm.
all three just fit together in such
Oh,
a
yeah.
way that I can't see them in another band. Nobody else could
Yeah,
fit in that spot like they do.
I agree. I remember because this band has been a part of my life since I was a little kid, going back to the early 80s, when I was introduced to them through MTV, funny enough.
Yeah.
And then in high school, they just became just a huge part of my life in high school. The first album that I picked up was Signals. And it just it changed my life, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I remember the Moody Blues, John Connor, of
Oh,
course.
Moody Blues is a great band. And then Deck Train mentioned wasn't really into Chicago. They're very talented guys, but I never really got into their music. But yeah, Earth, Wind, and Fires, those guys are monsters. Amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I first got into Rush in their early days before they really went progressive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you'd probably agree, their first, 1, 2, 3 albums, there were hints of the progressive gods they would become later, but it
Yeah.
wasn't really their full time, which didn't really happen until 2112. But the song "Working Man" hit the
Yeah.
like 75 or 6, and that was just a huge hit here in Indiana. So,
Well, the self-titled album was 74, and
was
then
it? Yeah, 74.
Fly By Night was 75, and Caress of Steel was 76.
Yeah. And then you had
Mm.
2112, and that changed the whole
Mhm.
thing.
Good Lord, I'll never forget the first time I heard the 2112 track, the overture, and
Mhm.
oh my goodness, it was really a mind opener.
But so I'm trying to read chat. Oh, and speaking of chat, I have a super chat there. Thank you, Teresa the Kid, for the donation. Congrats on the job. Feel better soon. Thank you. And I hope to. I've got the weekend off, so I should be able to recuperate and be all ready to go by Monday.
Oh, Brian King is asking what your thoughts are on the Beastie Boys.
Oh, little after my time. I liked some of their songs fine. They kind of grated on my nerves a little bit after a while. But no, I liked some of their music. Sure, it was a little bit after my time. I was by the time the Beastie Boys come out, I was already married with kids. So,
Yeah.
not that I couldn't still enjoy music at that point. It's just I wasn't as into what's new as I was when I was, before I was married.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was a teenager, that's all my life was about. Oh, geez, did you hear this song? Rock and roll and marijuana. That's what it was all about for me.
Oh, Deck Train. I not really into Richard Marx. My mom was a pretty big Richard Marx fan back when he was a big thing in the 80s. And then but I love Journey though. Journey is a great band.
Yeah. Journey had some good songs. They got a kind of bad rap while they were popular because they were seen as being a chick band. It was music that the girls liked, So because of that, they had the reputation of not being able to really go hard. But if you listen to a lot of their music, they absolutely can. You know, they can play hard with the best of them if they wanted to.
Yeah, and in fact, Neil Shaw, I think is a really, or no, Neil Sean, never mind. Yeah, Neil Sean is a very underrated guitarist, if you ask me. He's really talented. And then, of course, you got Steve Perry on vocals, which is, he's probably one of the greatest vocalists of all time.
Yeah, and one of the things too was, again, oversaturation with Journey. When they got hit, I mean, they got tons of airplay. There was even a Journey pinball machine. This was before video games. And there was a TV special with Journey, and it was just, too much, too soon, too much Journey, and it kind of got crammed down people's throat.
There was a video game too. I remember, for the Atari 2600, they released I forgot the name of the game, but yeah, it was a Journey game.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, they were hugely popular there for a time. Hugely popular.
Dex. So Van Halen, yes. Bon Jovi, no. I'm not a Bon Jovi fan.
Oh, really? I like some of his songs.
That's another artist that I just think was way too overplayed. I like Living on a Prayer. I'm just so tired of hearing that song.
Now, see, I really like that song. So, yeah, it's like I always say when we get into these conversations about music, it's okay if you disagree with my opinion.
Absolutely.
Because music is subjective. It's not objective. It's subjective. It's up to the individual. You like what you like, and you don't like what you don't like. And that's the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to deny that the Bon Jovi's talented. Objectively, they're talented. It's just subjectively, I never really got into their music.
No. Well, growing up, of course, as a teenager, I was with a couple of exceptions. I was more into the harder side of rock and roll than anything else. Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, and you could just go on. But there were a couple of exceptions there. I was a huge Neil Young fan, who eventually went. Yeah, he eventually went hard himself with Rust Never Sleeps. Was kind of, Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere really was his first kind of hard, edgy album. But
I kind of consider him the godfather of grunge.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people do. But like that. And of course, I was a massive Stevie Nicks fan. So of course, I loved Fleetwood Mac because of her. Everybody else had posters of Farrah Fawcett up on their wall back then. Not me. It was Stevie.
Yeah. Understandable. Hey,
Yeah.
See, interestingly enough, that was one band that I never really got into until later in life. Now it's like I come to appreciate their music.
Oh, it's absolutely. And their Rumors album is just exceptional because you being a rock and roll buff know that, they were going through a lot of rough personal periods at that time.
Oh, yeah. Because that was around the time that Stevie and Lindsay broke up.
And Christy McVie and Fleetwood were breaking up too. So you had two couples in the band that were going through breakups, and you could just feel the angst and the anger and the pain through the whole album.
Yep.
It was a great album.
And it's like Stevie shacked up with Mick.
Yeah. So there was a lot of stuff that was going on while they were recording that. A lot of stuff. But
Michael, you're talking my language. I believe it or not, I'm a bit of a prog rock nerd. So yes, ELP, I love ELP and
Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Yep.
Brain Salad Surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Uh,
and Jethro Tull, "Thick as a Brick."
Thick as a Brick. That's a great album.
Yep.
Even though it's just one song. It's like one 20-minute song.
Yeah. Well, it's like me. I'm a big Pink Floyd fan.
Oh, I love Pink. Well, yeah, we've talked about this. We have like the same favorite album.
And my favorite album is Animals.
Mine too.
I absolutely adore Animals.
Mhm.
And it's the one album that a lot of people don't know about because
Yeah.
it got zero airplay because
Yeah.
every song on it was, well, the first, you know, Pigs on the Wing is
Pigs on
divided
the Wing,
into
yeah.
2 songs, so I don't count that as
Mhm.
a song. The first real song on the album, Dogs, is 17
Yep.
minutes long, so that's not going to get airplay. So
Yeah, it's like, to me, that album is just perfection. I think Pigs on the Wing are great bookends to the album. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
and then like you go from Pigs on the Wing part 1 to Dogs.
Yeah. And I think some of and my brain is going dead because I am so terribly tired. I'm exhausted. The guitar work was some of the best they ever did
Mhm.
on Dogs.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah.
it's just a phenomenal album. And yes, I like Alan Parsons
I love
Project.
Alan
Absolutely.
Parsons Project too. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, my dad was a massive Alan Parsons fan, so I kind of grew up on their music.
Yeah. One of the first albums I ever owned was Tales of Mystery and Imagination.
That's cool.
Which is the album that people forget about, and they forget that their first hit song was The Raven. So, or the first one that I recall was The Raven. That album was every song on it was based on an Edgar Allan Poe story. So,
Yep.
interesting album.
They did a song called "I, Robot" too.
An album named I, Robot, because I had that album too.
Oh,
I had that album as well. So yeah, like Alan Parsons.
Yeah, but it's like, so back on the Floyd, it's funny
Mhm.
because my husband and I, we always have this conversation about Floyd, like trying to decide what we think is their best album.
Yeah.
And it's just so hard to determine.
It is. And getting into Floyd is different than getting into any other rock and roll band.
Mhm.
I will just say that, any other, because, you know, any other rock and roll band, you can go to an album, and even though there are concept albums, you know, like you mentioned Sgt. Pepper earlier,
Yep.
you can pick a song that you're a fan of or something that you've heard.
Mhm.
But Floyd is an experience, and they
Yep.
are their albums are intended to be listened to in entirety.
Yeah.
From front to back. And so if you're not doing that, you're missing part of the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is hard because each one of their albums has a different feel. You know, Dark Side of the Moon felt different than Wish You Were Here, which felt different, you know, than Animals, and which felt different than The Wall. Yep. You know.
Or, you know what? I even liked some songs off of the Final Cut, you know, and I know that album has gotten dogged badly. And, you know, I think it's because I think this was around the time that Rick Wright was kicked out of the band, so they got a new keyboardist in, but I don't know. I thought there were some good songs off of that album, and then Roger Waters leaves, but even after Roger Waters left, there was still some good stuff that, you know, David Gilmour did most of the contributions to, like Momentary Lapse of Reason.
That's who I was trying to think of a while ago, David Gilmour. I thought his guitar work on Dogs was some of the best he'd ever done.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Floyd's just a different animal. And you have to approach him differently than you do anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
The Animals just, it just speaks to me.
Mm-hmm.
It just, you know, everybody I'm sure can relate. There's that song or that album that just speaks to you and grabs you. And for me, it's that album.
Yep. Well, okay. So interestingly enough, when I first listened to the album, you know, when I first heard Dogs, I I couldn't get into it. But then I thought, you know what? I'm going to give the album another chance. And I just sat there and listened. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what it was. It just completely drew me in.
Yeah. And it is, like I said, it's an experience. If you're short on attention, you're probably not going to make it through, because there's only technically 4 songs on the album, because Pigs on the Wing are 2 halves of one song. So the entire album is only 4 songs. They're very long songs, folks. So yeah, if your attention span is short, you're probably not going to make it through that album. Faithless. Yeah, I'm Dr. Doolittle, didn't you know? Yeah. Which I see they're coming back out with a remake. Dr. Doolittle.
Oh God, why?
I don't know.
I'll just go back and listen to my music. I'm kind of done with movies now. It's all remakes and reboots, and I'm tired of it.
Yeah, I hear you.
God, give me something new and original.
I don't know what was wrong with the original Dr. Doolittle. It's still, I would think, still would hold up today. But you know,
boy, Deck Train went little. Like, he's listed DGNR, Motley Crue. Motley Crue is, I like some of their songs. Never been that big of a fan. I'm more of a Guns N' Roses fan.
Yeah, I do like Guns N' Roses. Detest Axl as an individual.
Yeah,
I detest him, and he's another Hoosier boy. He grew up in Rushville, Indiana, which is about an hour away from where I live. But he's not a nice human being. I don't like him. But I do like the music.
You separate the art from the artist.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned Neil Young earlier. I love Neil Young's music. I absolutely adore it. Can't stand his politics, but I love his music.
The same with Roger Waters. I love Roger Waters' contributions to Pink Floyd, but I can't stand, what he has to say off, on politics and stuff. And
yeah, I absolutely, my favorite author is Stephen King. I love Stephen King books.
Me too. I love Stephen King.
My goodness, his politics will make you sick. It's like, really, Stephen?
I had to unfollow him on Twitter because it was just becoming too much for me. It's like, come on. It's like, come on. I'm just done with it.
There's been a few people I've had to unfollow of recent.
Yeah.
And my Twitter's a much better place for it. Not to say, things don't pop up. I had some guy trying to get under my skin yesterday on Twitter over the whole OK Boomer thing. But, I made a tweet. You may have seen it. I made a tweet. It says, in light of the uptick of the OK Boomer meme, I'd like to say that being a kid in the 60s and a teen in the 70s was a great time to grow up.
Yeah. And
that was it. And he comes back here, yeah, unless you're black or your dad died in Vietnam.
Shut up.
And I just come back like, there's got to be one of you, doesn't there? There's always got to be one of you. Now, my dad didn't die in Vietnam, but I had 2 uncles that went. So don't tell me. I lived it.
No, it just drives me nuts how soft the newer generations are. Meanwhile, there's me. I grew up in a time, because there's like this micro generation out there called the Zennials, which is like too young to be Gen X, but too old to be millennial. So, and it makes sense, because they say that with Zennials, it's analog childhood, digital adulthood.
I just come back at the guy and said, geez, there's got to be one of you, doesn't there? So look, I didn't even call out millennials here. I wasn't poking fun at anybody. I was just making a statement about my childhood, and you got to turn it political. And he come back with, okay, Boomer. Like, that's a real good comeback now. And I just come back with, why, yes, I am. Now what? Like, I'm supposed to be ashamed of it. And being a boomer is nothing that I had any control over, folks. Can't control when you were born.
Well, I mean, the same could be said for millennials. It's like not
Yeah.
all millennials are
Well, of
self-entitled
course not.
babies, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, of course not. Yeah, of course not. Half the people I hang out with on YouTube are millennials.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So uh but yeah, I don't know. My Twitter's a little better. I don't follow too many celebrities, just a very, very scant handful.
Mhm.
A few football players, because I love my football, and I know you don't, so I won't take us there. But I'm just saying, and William Shatner, who's just a beast. He just cracks
Oh,
me
he's
up.
a, he's a legend.
He is
God bless that man.
80 plus years old
Yep.
and owning people left and right on the internet. I mean, he takes no prisoners, just doesn't care, and he's good at it.
Well, you don't mess with James Tiberius Kirk, okay?
No. And the other person was, and dadgummit, an actor, and my brain just went dead. Played in Forrest Gump, played in CSI New York.
Oh, Gary Sinise.
Yeah, I follow Gary Sinise. Used to follow James Wood until Twitter kicked him off.
Oh,
Uh,
he's off. He's been kicked
oh,
off.
he's been kicked off for quite some time now. Yeah.
Oh man. What a
Um,
shame. He's such a good actor, and it boggles my mind that because of his political beliefs, nobody in Hollywood wants to work with him anymore.
yeah,
And it's a travesty because this man's a legend. He's
yeah.
been around for some time and is
But that's pretty much it. That, and like I said, just oh, maybe three or four football players that are on my team. That's about it, or used to be on the team at least.
mhm.
That's about it. As far as celebrities, I just don't do the celebrity thing. I'm only on Twitter. The only reason I even started it to begin with was to keep in touch with my YouTube friends and
Mhm.
fellow content makers and stuff like that. And that's the only reason I'm even there. That's why it's pretty rare you'll see me arguing with anybody on Twitter, because I'm not there for that. I save that for my YouTube channel.
Mhm.
On Twitter, I just tell stupid dad jokes and talk about my grandkids.
That's how Twitter should be. Twitter
Yeah.
should be more than just politics and it's just I have a hard time going on there because I just roll my eyes and it's like I'm like, I better stay off because I have a feeling my blood pressure is going to increase from all the crap that I'm seeing.
Well, it is often that I take a break from Twitter. First of all, I don't have it on my phone. I don't have the app on my phone. I can access this on my phone, of course, if I open up a web browser, but I don't have the app on my phone, so it's not constantly alerting me. And that's on purpose. That's so that if I get tired of it on my computer, which I do 2 or 3 times a week, I can walk away from it. Don't have to hear about it.
Well, it's like to me, who makes Twitter or who makes my worthwhile on Twitter are people like Monkey and your boy Pat just completely going after some of these people with this, dim-witted hot takes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you guys make my day.
Oh, yeah. Well, Monkey cracks me up.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand it because I'm not that way. I don't like to argue with people. I
I'm the same way.
can, and I'm very good at it. I was actually on the debate team in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very good at supporting an argument. I just don't like to because more often than not online, not just Twitter, but on social media as a whole, you're trying to fight a battle of wits with somebody
Yeah.
that's out of ammunition. And that's just not fun.
Well, and it's like it seems like it's so hard to get people to change their minds. That's kind of why I don't really argue with people because it's like I'm not going to change their mind. So what's the point,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like, and it's no secret that I'm a Christian. And now you
Mhm.
won't find that influencing my content or on any social media or anything. That's my personal beliefs. Um, but you know, I've had people try to. I have one hard fast rule: I will not discuss my religion online. I won't do
Mhm.
it, my beliefs or anything. And I've had people try to get me to do it. I'm like, no. You know, I've been a Christian for most of my life, and I'm almost 60. Do you think you're going to convince me to change my mind
Yeah.
at this point? And you're hardcore atheist. I don't think I'm going to change your mind. So what's the point?
No, it's like, you know what drives me nuts is that it seems like not all atheists now, but some atheists have just become so unbearable. It's like, you know, they've become more unbearable than Christians, if
Yeah.
you ask me, because
Well,
they say all this shit, and you're just like, well, what do you want, a cookie?
yeah.
Because you're an atheist.
Those are the ones that have crossed over into the boundary of what I call the anti-theists.
Hmm.
There's atheists and then there's anti-theists, and it's generally tends to be the anti-theists that are just hardcore. If they even hear a whisper, if you even say, "Well, you're in my prayers," they're all over you. What are you
Oh
talking
my
about?
God, I've seen people like that. The hardcore atheists, like, oh, it's so wrong to say, thoughts and prayers because it doesn't work. But it's like, really, how are they supposed to express their condolences? That's their way of expressing their condolences. So you
Yep.
just shut the hell up.
And
You
how in the
know
heck does it hurt you?
exactly.
So, but yeah, I it- and especially on Twitter, arguments are just pointless. I mean,
Mhm.
you're limited to a character limit, so it's hard to even really make an argument, within the confines of what Twitter allows you to do. It's just people shouting one-liners at one another. And for the last several months now, the thing is to quote tweet. Every comment they quote tweet it, so it starts a new thread. And I swear people just do that to try to make you look stupid to their followers. Oh, look at what I said to this guy. you know,
Oh, look at you, dumb boomer, dumb like racist bigot.
yeah, exactly.
Like, if you think you're going to get a pat on the back and a few gold stars in the real world, that's not going to work for you, cupcake.
Yeah, I'm doing good, Bansma. A little tired, a little sore, but that was to be expected. I actually expected that to happen, but I'm doing good.
Well, and how you are with religion. Well, okay, so back in the day, it seemed like religion was a dangerous topic to get into, but now it seems like it's more and more turning it's politics now that's
Yeah,
become extremely dangerous. And sure, I have my political beliefs, but I don't care to share them.
yeah. When I grew up, when I was a kid, I'm talking, maybe into my teens, but as a kid, I was taught there are two things that you don't discuss in polite company: religion and politics,
Yep.
because there's going to be a fight. So
Yeah, sure, yeah, I have my own political beliefs, but it's none of your business what I sure I would discuss politics if people learned how to behave.
yeah,
And that's the problem is that people can't engage in civil discourse anymore.
it's not. It's just one side trying to get a gotcha on the other. That's
Mhm.
all. That's all it is. I haven't seen a legitimate civil conversation
Yep.
of people from opposite sides talking to each other in the longest time. It's just one gotcha after the other, and see who could you know outdo the other. You know who could own the other guy.
I guess call me a dirty hippie, but I'm of the mindset of can't we just get along?
Well, we're gonna have to.
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, there has to be bipartisan. Because we see what happens when you can't. It
Mhm.
just shuts the whole thing down. And yeah, we're not under a government shutdown right now, but you've got one whole branch of the government that all they can think about is impeaching Trump.
Oh,
You
God.
know, and
Yeah.
it's just, if we don't learn to get along, we're not going to get very far. You got
God,
to
well,
work together, people.
And it's become so dangerous. Like, you can't even share an opinion without the possibility of somebody doxing you, somebody harassing you. It's horrible.
Oh, I know. I know. Uh, and it's one of the reasons that I rarely talk politics on Twitter. Very, very rarely. I
Mm-hmm.
never talk religion, but I rarely talk politics. And because it's just a minefield. It's a
Mm-hmm.
minefield.
Yeah.
You know, you can't win no matter how you word what you say. You're going to have that one guy that comes on, or girl that's all triggered.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, and Faithless is right. He said politics have become the modern religion.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because it's really crazy how both sides of the political spectrum, sometimes how they act with their politics. It's like a religion to them. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just don't do it because that's not fun for me. Now, for people like Monkey and stuff, that's fun for them. Hey, you do you. Me, I'll stick with my dad jokes and talking about my grandkids. Thank you very much.
That's kind of how I am too. I'm just like, I just rather just crack jokes and, bitch about movies and TV shows.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Vanilla, how are you?
Hey, Vanilla Bear.
How's the old man? Is he off to work yet? Bansma says, "I love your dad jokes." Yeah, yeah. Well, you didn't grow up here. My kids are pretty sick of them by now.
That's kind of how it is. My dad was the exact same way, just walking, talking dad jokes.
Yep. Yeah, I'm almost always cracking jokes in one way or the other. You guys need to talk about punk music now. I'm somewhat familiar with punk, but it's really not my area of expertise.
There's some punk bands that I like. I mean, I love the Ramones, but I don't really consider them to be punk music per se because they're very talented group of guys, and like their music may seem punkish if this makes any sense, but they have a melody to their songs.
Well, they are what brought punk to the States.
Yeah.
I'll give them that, the Ramones. But it was never my thing. I mean, I was a teenager when it was at its height and when it got big and started becoming popular,
Mm-hmm.
with the Sex Pistols and all of that stuff, and but it just wasn't, I wasn't that into it. A couple of songs I like, but just wasn't the thing.
I'm sure punk was a huge breath of fresh air with the popularity of disco music back in the
and that's when it hit big at about the same time, and that's pretty much what it was. It was a pushback to the whole disco, overproduced records that was going on at the time. That time, and but Vanessa says, "I'm good. The old man's at work. He's off tomorrow to do his Remembrance Sunday stream." Oh, okay. What's
Remembrance Sunday? I'm guessing it must be a UK thing.
Yeah. Maybe Vanilla will give us an answer here. Imagine if disco came back. No, I'd rather not, Bands. No, thank you.
Budwig's like, shoot me if that happens. Well, hey, I'm going to be honest here. I'd rather have disco than the god-awful music they call pop today.
Oh, well, yeah, sort of. Yeah, because I'm not a fan of that either.
Oh, Vanilla Bear. RJ says Remembrance Day is like Veterans Day.
For us. Okay.
For us.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Well, I can imagine it's probably what they call it in the UK.
Yeah, like Veterans or Memorial Day. I got you. All right. I can't keep up with all that stuff.
Well, in the UK, they celebrate Boxing Day, and we don't celebrate that.
No, no, not here in the States. Nope.
Mhm. I think they do in Canada too. I think Jen can probably confirm that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Of course, I don't know exactly what the tradition is with Boxing Day. I just know that it seemed like that was the day, the returns day, as I called it, because back when I was working retail, that was a pretty big day for people to return the gifts that they got.
Right. Yep. Well, I have done pretty good up to this point. I've made it way past what I normally make. But Lindsay, you know how this works.
Oh boy, yeah, I know the drill. Hey, anybody collect your Bloodwing potty pool.
That's right. I will be right back and hope you find that chat. Be nice to her. Be nice. I'll be back.
So what's going on here, guys? Vanilla Bear. It's like a bank holiday, Boxing Day. Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's weird. And here in the States, it seemed like the big thing is like the day after Christmas would be the day that people would probably do their shopping with like the gift cards and the cash that they get from Christmas. And also the day that they would return gifts if, say, they get clothes that don't fit them or something that they don't like. But this, I can ignore modern pop, but disco is like fingernails on a chalkboard. I'm going to have to disagree with you there, Faithless. It's like one word, auto-tune. Okay? Auto-tune is the devil's asshole. You know? At least with, you could say what you want about disco, but at least there were musicians that could actually play instruments and sing. Can't exactly say the same thing about modern pop. I can't really think of any modern pop artists that are actually talented. I don't get the whole Ariana Grande, or whatever the hell you want to call her. But Random American never returns stuff the day after Christmas. That is like going to the DMV on a Saturday. Yeah, you're not wrong there. You're not wrong. I'm glad disco died. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not, it's like I said, disco is kind of a guilty pleasure. And like I said, I stand by my statement in that I think that disco, I choose disco over modern pop. If I had to choose between the two that was playing continuously on the radio, that I would go with the disco music. Sorry. Pitch correction. I'm not exactly sure what that means. Am I a little too monotone?
I don't think so.
Okay. I got the moves. Thanks, Michael. Not really. I can't dance worth a crap.
Oh, I am absolutely a white guy.
Me too. Yep. I dance like a white girl. I have no shame. Jay, I heard the F word trying to slip out. I know. I don't know why I'm trying to be clean on this stream. I don't know. Maybe
Everybody does because they know I don't,
because you're
but-
just so wholesome.
but I keep telling everybody, don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm not going to, censor your speech. I just don't. I personally don't. That's all there is to it.
Well, no, it's like I was mentioning, because I've seen some people say, well, I'd rather take disco over modern pop. And I'm like, I'll disagree with you on the count of one word, auto-tune.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, because at least, okay, so say what you want about disco. At least they were artists that actually played their own instruments and actually were talented singers too.
Yep.
Oh God, I hear auto-tune and it's like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah, and you can hear it. There's no hiding it. It's just like, gosh, this is awful. Yeah, and I have a much greater appreciation for when people played their own instruments and sang in their own voice.
Well, it's like even pop artists back in the day played their own instruments.
Yeah. Bansma says auto-tune is abused like crazy. Now the thing is, and it may have been a thing for a while, I just don't get into it. Recently, I've mentioned on this stream before, it's no surprise, one of my guilty pleasures is I like Markiplier.
I love Markiplier.
And I realize that I'm exactly the opposite of what his normal audience is. I'm not a 14-year-old girl. But I do like Markiplier. And he has a series of Try Not to Laugh. And
I love that.
I was watching some of them, and some of the videos were just people talking stupid in auto-tune.
I saw that.
I'm like, how is that funny? What the heck? That's just stupid.
I know what you're talking about. My husband cracks up at that every time he watches it.
I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand. To be honest, none of what he watches makes me laugh. It doesn't. It's just not funny to me. It's not funny to me. I get cracked up at him, at what his reaction, and trying not to laugh.
Well, yeah, because it's like you could tell that he's trying desperately hard not to laugh, and that's just some of the funniest stuff about those videos.
And yes, Bansma, I'm aware of that, and I meant to mention it at the top of the stream. Not as big a deal because you guys wouldn't do that anyway. But in case you're not aware, like I said, you guys wouldn't do that in my chat. But do not spam emojis in YouTube chats right now.
Yeah,
because it's getting people kicked off of YouTube.
Yep.
There's something wrong with their algorithm or something. And I mean, it's not just giving you a timeout; it's kicking them off of YouTube. So yeah, don't spam a bunch of emojis because I don't want to see any of you guys get kicked off.
Well, and the thing is, it's like, is this just pertaining to emojis? Because sometimes in some of the chats that I've seen, people will say press 1 for this or press 2 for that. You'll see like a spam of 1s and 2s. So does that apply to like those people that spam that? Are they going to get?
I don't know. Markiplier, as far as I know, was the first one to bring it up, and that he was noticing it was happening to people in his streams, and it was particularly about emojis when he talked about it. It may be that, but yeah, that's what the claim is. They're getting the label of spammer, and kicking them off the they're kicking them off the platform. Yeah, close your account.
Well, and then their YouTube is updating their terms of service next month, and I saw Tailed Feature mention one of the updates into the terms of service, and it's scary.
Yeah, and I've read through that new terms of service some. I didn't read the whole thing yet because it's long and legalese and all that stuff, and loses my attention pretty quick. But I did read through some of it, and it cracks me up because some of the wording is just a nicer way of saying, "Well, if we don't like your content, we'll shut you down." And yes, Havoc and anybody else, some others mentioned it. It isn't just YouTube; it's your whole Google account. So if you've got a Gmail account, or if you've got a Google Plus account, all that stuff gone. Yeah. So I'm assuming it's a problem in their algorithm at the moment, and they would probably fix it, which means anybody kicked off will probably get back. But who wants that headache, right? So.
Oh, you know what? I actually did see that YouTube did respond to Markiplier, and they said that they're working on it.
Yeah.
So hopefully that gets fixed because that's crazy. That's
and I know it gets overused in some streams. My people here, I've said it before, and I really mean it. I'm not just blowing smoke, guys. You guys are the best. I got the best chat in the world. You guys wouldn't do all that here, but I've been in live streams and watched live streams where, there's just emoji after emoji and just blocks of it. And I get that. And then it's a little annoying. Yes, it's annoying, but come on, come on. It's not worthy of closing their Google account.
Well, no, and it's not just that, but you've got the update to the terms of service. And then I've seen somebody who I'm mutuals with on Twitter who's on YouTube. They shared something about it had something to do with monetization of like kid content or something like that. Like you have to check off a box, and I'm like, I wouldn't know because I'm not monetized, but that sounds kind of scary too.
Yeah, well, YouTube already does something like that. Whenever you upload a video off to the right hand side, I believe it is, there's a little checkbox. You don't have to. You only have to check it if there are children that appear in your video, or if it is geared toward children. You have to tick that. But by default, it's not ticked. You know, I've only just noticed it there because I just happened to notice it was there because my content's not for kids. So,
well, it's not. Yeah, neither's mine.
I don't pay any attention to it. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. I'm sure Alex is probably a lot more familiar with it since he seems to be pretty knowledgeable on all the YouTube updates that's coming out.
Oh yeah, he stays up to date with that stuff almost obsessively. To the point, and I'm glad he does, because like I said, I get to reading through that stuff, and I've read 2 paragraphs and couldn't tell you what I just read. You know, because it's just lost my brain. Like, but yeah.
Yeah, because I got one of those emails from YouTube of the update to the terms of service, and I pulled it up. I'm like, yeah, this is a little too much reading for me.
Yeah.
And my brain can't comprehend legal isms.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can make sense of the legalese given time, but it's not like my first language. I have to concentrate on it. Like, what do they really mean here? Oh, okay.
Well, and then the problem is they're vague with some of their terminology, and obviously it seems like for a reason.
Yeah. Oh, it's intentional. Yeah. If you're vague enough, then you can always fall back on you didn't fit our terms of service. So that way they can yeet anybody they want to,
Well, and it's like, you'd think that something like fair use would be black and white. That if you use footage for commentary and stuff, then it falls under fair use. But I've gotten slapped with content ID for using copyrighted material, even though it falls in line with fair use. And I've tried to dispute that and have not had any luck.
Yeah, I get it. Yep, it's happened to me too. One of the silliest things that ever has happened to me, I've done a video. Oh gosh, it's been a long time ago now. But in part of the video, I played the famous Dr. Luther King's I Have a Dream speech in that video. And it got deleted. That section got deleted by YouTube. Not because of the video, but because some music group was claiming the audio. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I had to resort to muting the audio on it, just showing the video, and then putting what he was saying in text on screen, over top of it. It was the only way I could get around it and still keep my video somewhat intact.
Well, that's what happened to me. I recorded a video. It was a Game of Thrones video, and my husband put together kind of a parody of the opening credits, and he used the music from Monty Python's Flying Circus. And it's ironic because the song is in public domain,
right?
But I got slapped with a copyright strike. Well, not really a strike. It's one of those like ID, like if my channel was monetized, that they would get the AdSense or the ad revenue.
Yeah. And in a lot of instances, I don't care. Let's say, well, in one episode of Redneck Track, it's the only one that's not monetized. And I knew what I was doing when I did it, I knew it was probably going to get caught, but I tried to slip it by. I put a small piece of copyrighted music. It was it was a song by Blackfoot, and just a little clip, and it played really, really quietly. Compared to the rest of the video, I was kind of hoping that the rest of it would but it got hit. And in that case, I don't care. Blackfoot made the song; it's copyrighted. If they want to get some of the money off of it, by all means. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
But some of this stuff is silly though. And you got to watch, I forget, is it BG Music? I think it's BG. If you get a claim from them, dispute it. Because I've had periods where they have tried to claim everything, every piece of music ever used in a video. And it's not theirs. I had done an animated video, I'd done a few in the past. And they tried to claim the music. Well, the music was part of the game, and it wasn't even titled what they said it was titled. It was not even the same song. It's like, get out of here.
Well, and don't use any music that's copyrighted by UMG or you're screwed.
Yeah.
Because they are notorious for copyright strikes.
Yeah.
Well, and it's what I don't get is that I've been to, like, sometimes I'll listen to music on YouTube and there are people that upload full songs from artists and they're monetized. And I'm like, why aren't these people getting struck?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I've always, Alex and I have kicked around an idea in the background of doing music reaction videos. Of course, you're not going to find a rock and roll song that I haven't heard.
Right.
But what it would be is him listening to stuff from the 70s for the first time and me being there with him to talk him through the song. Right. And because music reaction videos are really big right now. And, but I don't know if I need the headache because that's constantly getting copyrighted. There's this channel, and I really love this guy, and he's getting to be pretty popular, Rick Beato. If you care anything about music, check out Rick Beato.
Yeah, I know who he is. Yeah, my husband and I, we like to watch his content.
Very interesting stuff, especially if you're just really into music, because he really goes deep.
Yep.
He goes deep. He has his own recording studio. And to get around the copyright, he'll even play the song himself and still get hit. Because it's too close to the original, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Well, and Razor Fist has done some really good. He had that Metal Mythos series that
I've seen that. Yeah.
And some great stuff. And I thought about maybe doing something like that for my channel, but with all this whole copyright thing, I'm like, why even bother?
Yeah. Yeah. And Jim Beam says Rick Beato is great. He is absolutely awesome. I really enjoy his content. He puts a lot of work into those videos, and you can tell.
Yeah.
And you can tell. And he's just a music fan like I am. And that's what I love. He really goes deep. And I find it very interesting. The only thing with Razor Fist is I got to disagree with him on his Black Sabbath video. Because he tried to say that the Ozzy Sabbath was inferior to to Dio.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, to Dio. And I'm like, not on your life, dude. Are you kidding me?
Oh my God. I call Razor Fist a hipster metalhead. Because it seems like he just does not like things that are popular.
Yeah.
It was so funny because he tweeted a while back because they had that list of like Star Wars movies and ranking like what from 1 to was it 8 or 9 on what was the best to worst Star Wars movie. And the movie he put at the top of his list was Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? Return of the Jedi over Empire? Because it seems like Empire Strikes Back is the one that everybody rates like the best Star Wars
I
movie.
watched a few of his Metal Mythos videos, but that Black Sabbath one stood out to me because when he said that Dio was better than Ozzy, I'm like, dude, you're out of your mind.
Yeah. It's like I love Razor Fist. I'm a fellow metalhead myself, but I'd have to disagree with that one. And don't get me wrong, I think Dio is a fantastic singer.
Yeah. I just think that he is not. Ozzy was Sabbath.
Yeah,
and his voice was just perfect for what they were doing musically. Does Ozzy have a great voice? No, he does not. It's a very odd voice. But it's very distinct, and it fit perfectly with what Sabbath were doing musically.
Well, and you can say the same thing about Van Halen. I think like Sammy Hagar might be the superior singer to David Lee Roth, but David Lee Roth was the showman, and he just fits so well with the Van Halen brothers and with was it Michael Anthony, or what's the bass player's name? I think it's Michael Anthony.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But David Lee Roth was a better fit with them musically than Sammy Hagar, and Sammy Hagar is a very talented musician. But
absolutely, I've been a fan of Hagar since he was with Montrose.
Yeah.
Hey, Montrose?
Well, my dad is a big Sammy Hagar fan. I kind of heard about Montrose through him.
My goodness, it's not often I run across somebody else that's like, oh yeah, Montrose.
Now, I don't think I've really heard their music, but I've heard of the name.
Yeah.
It's like, I've heard of Montrose, and then I know Sammy Hagar and Neil Sean of Journey did HSAS, Hassas, or whatever that band's called.
Yeah. But I've been a fan of Hagar for a long time. I just don't think he was a good fit on Van Halen. I just don't. I'm sorry. I don't.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Oh, and Michael mentions Todd Rundgren. I love Todd Rundgren.
Oh yeah.
Nah, not the greatest voice in the world, but man, he did have talent for music.
Do yourself a favor, Lindsay. Sometime when you're thinking about it, and I'm sure it's on YouTube. Everything is anymore. Look up either Bad Motor Scooter or Rock Candy by Montrose.
Okay.
Yeah. And that'll give you, they're classic rock, hard rock, that they're in that genre. So, two good songs. Space Station Number 9. Oh, great song. But anyway.
Well, then of course you got Sammy Hagar's solo stuff too. He had some great solo songs.
Yeah, I Can't Drive 55.
Yep. Heavy Metal. That's another great song.
But I just didn't think he was a good fit on Van Halen. I remember when I first heard that he was going to sing for Van Halen, I'm like, really? Hagar? Really? Huh? All right.
Well, it's the same could be said about Gary Cherone of Extreme. Extreme actually had some great songs, but pairing him with Van Halen certainly was not exactly a match made in heaven.
Well, Michael Weiner says Todd Rundgren really had a crap voice, but talented. So anyway, I mentioned Neil Young earlier. Neil Young cannot sing.
No.
The man cannot sing, and he knows it. He can't sing. But there's just something about his voice and the way he sings that makes it work.
Yeah.
Even though he is not a singer.
Well, see, and it's like, though the same could be said about Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is a fantastic songwriter, but
I can sing better than Dylan, and I
can't. My husband is a Bob Dylan fan, and I've listened to some of his songs. I can't get past his voice. It just kind of grates on my ears.
I don't mind Dylan, especially the later electrical stuff when he went electric.
Well, like Lay Lady Lay is a great song. And funny enough, when I first heard that song, I did not know that was Bob Dylan. I thought it was James Taylor that sang that song, because it sounds kind of similar to James Taylor's voice, who, funny enough, is a better singer. But
Yeah, I know you're trying to get under my skin, Faithless, and you also know that's impossible. Yes, I like the song Southern Man, and you don't like it, and that's okay.
And it's so funny because Southern Man was written as kind of taking a jab at Leonard Skinnard.
And Leonard Skinner took a
And he
jab
wrote,
right back. 'Cause they put it in Sweet Home Alabama. A Southern man don't need him around anyhow.
yep, yep.
But you know what? They weren't mad at each other. It was just friendly jabs.
Playful banter. Hey.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's another band. I remember you mentioned that about Leonard Skinner, and I mentioned that in the chat that I just never really got into them. But
Well, I'm a redneck.
oh yeah, understand.
And it's required to love
Mhm.
Southern rock if you're a redneck.
Yeah.
It's part and parcel with being that.
So would you consider the Eagles, at least the Eagles' early stuff, to be like Southern?
They were more country rock,
Mm.
which there is a difference. Um, Believe it or not, there was actually a competition early on between the Eagles and Fleetwood Mac because they were both considered kind of a countryish rock in those days.
Hmm.
But now they developed into more than just country rock.
Hmm.
You know, the Eagles did.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the early days, they were more country rock than Southern rock. Uh,
So what about the Allman Brothers? Is that more Southern rock
that's
or
Southern.
okay?
That's more Southern. Yeah.
Is it
Uh,
because of the where they're from? Because I know Leonard Skinner was based out of the South, and
mhm.
I'm think the Allman Brothers was too.
Yeah. Hmm. Well, it's not necessarily because of where they were based, although a lot of that came from that era from the Florida Panhandle was big on Southern rock bands. You know, a
Mm.
lot of them come from that area. But it was a style. It was just a style, and once you get it and once you learn it, you just know it. You know,
Mhm.
because you've got like the Allman Brothers that was mentioned. You've got Marshall Tucker, who
Mhm.
sometimes could be a little country rock, but was more Southern rock. Uh, you had uh, the band that many consider to have picked up the Leonard Skinner gauntlet when they had the plane crash to carry on their legacy, and that was Molly Hatchet.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
You've had groups like Blackfoot. Yeah, those are all Southern rock.
And 38 Special.
38 Special, yes.
I like 38 Special. Well, I've grown up in the 80s. 38 Special was a big thing back in the big band back in the early 80s.
Yep. And at times you could also put ZZ Top in there, although
Mhm.
ZZ Top was a different animal. They're Tex-Mex,
They're more blues, I think.
but some of their songs was kind of Southern rock. Some of the early songs, you know, like pre "She's Got Legs" days. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, it's like you listen to some of their early stuff from the 70s, it seemed like it was more in tune with blues than with country.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, they're very bluesy,
Yeah.
but that's one of the things. Southern rock is very bluesy if you listen to it. There's a huge blues influence,
Mm-hmm.
but there are different types of blues. You know, different genres of blues, and they're the blues that they were heavily influenced by was the old like Muddy Waters, the old the Panhandle, you
Oh,
know,
Delta Blues?
the Delta
I
blues.
love Delta Blues,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you can tell that. But yeah, I mean, who? Oh, where does Credence CCR fit? Credence was more country. They was more country, even all the way to folk sometimes. But they were more a country rock band than anything else. If you were going to stick them into a genre.
Michael mentioned Charlie Daniels.
Oh, Charlie Daniels, absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. Um, um, oh, uh, Oh, doggone it! And I'm trying to ugly guy. God, he was really ugly. But he had a couple of hits back in the 70s. He was Southern rock, almost country rock, really. It'll come to me. But boy, he was one ugly looking fella. But he was popular at about the same time as the CDB, Marshall Tucker, all that. In fact, Charlie Daniels mentions him in the song South's Gonna Do It Again when he runs through all these Southern rock bands and stuff. But I can't remember the line to remember his name. I'm going, my brain is not working at this time. And like I said, I'm very tired. I'm really exhausted. In fact, I'm probably going to go lay down and take a nap when the stream's done. But
yeah. Well, and then there's I'm pretty sure you've probably heard of a band called The Outlaw. Is that another one? Like another Southern?
Oh, the Outlaws? Yeah.
Yeah, Outlaws. Yeah.
The Guitar Army. That's what their nickname was, the Guitar Army. They had a lot of guitars. I think 3, maybe more. And if you listen close to Green Grass and High Tides Forever, which is what their big hit, you can tell there's 3 different guitars because there's 3 different styles being played there.
Yeah, see, I knew Outlaw because of the song Ghost Riders in the Sky, which is a great song.
Right. You know what? I am, that's going to bug me until I figure out what that artist.
Do you know the song?
Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm going to look up the Charlie Daniels song, and that should tell me Elvin Bishop. Oh, for pity's sake!
Oh, Elvin Bishop. Yeah.
How could I not? Elvin Bishop. He was not a good-looking man.
That was the Fooled Around and Fell in Love.
Yep. Fooled around and fell.
Yeah, vocals by Mickey Thomas of Jefferson Starship.
Yep.
Another underrated vocalist, if you ask me. Because I grew up on Jefferson Starship, and I never really listened to Jefferson Airplane until much later in life.
Airplane is superior in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I like them both, but it's just weird. I had no idea that Grace Slick and Paul Kantner were in the same band back in the 60s. It was just called Jefferson Airplane.
Yep. Yes. White Rabbit. Oh boy.
And that's my mom's karaoke song.
One pill to make them small. Michael Wine says, "Oh, never would have guessed that." Yeah. Elman Bad Boy Bishop, friend of George Thorogood and the Delaware Destroyer. Oh boy, there's a name I haven't thought of in a while. George Thorogood. Talk about a rough, gravelly voice. That man smoked way too many Marlboros, drank too much whiskey.
I love his rendition of One Bourbon, One Scotch, One Beer.
Yeah.
I consider that superior to Bad to the Bone.
He also done a very good rendition of Who Do You Love? Who Do You Love?
Yep.
He was not the first person to do that song, but he done a very good rendition of it. Had no idea this was going to be an 80% rock and roll stream when I started, which is fine by me.
Hey, I told you I am passionate when it comes to music. That is like, I nerd out over that kind of stuff.
Irate Prostate and Tailed Feature keep telling me every now and again on Twitter, we got to do that Rush stream. We got to do that Rush stream. I'm just waiting on you guys.
I've been saying the same thing to Irate Prostate. Like, when are we going to do like a Rush retrospective stream? Because that needs to happen.
Yeah. And, it started when Tailed Feature and I were having a Twitter conversation back and forth talking about classic rock, and it got on Rush. It got on the fact that, they're only three guys, but they sound like a lot more.
Yep. Yep.
And I know that's true because I've heard them live. You know,
Hmm.
I've
Hmm.
seen Rush live, and that's. But then the conversation got, well, we should do a stream, and then Ari Postate popped up. Oh, I'd like to do that, and then it's like, but it hasn't happened yet.
Well, the question is like, who's going to host? Who's going to agree to host the stream?
Right. Well, I would rather it be on. Tailed would probably be the best choice because he's probably got the most subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume. I don't know how many that Irie Prostate's got, but I know I've only got the 1,300, and and not that I say only. That sounds like I'm ashamed. I'm not. I appreciate every subscriber I have. A year ago, I would have never thought I'd have this many at all, not even close. But he has the bigger platform, where more people that if they wanted to tune in and listen to it could. Mm-hmm. So I would say that would probably be the better bet if he would do it.
See, and it's like, I think that the Rush retrospective stream could make for some interesting conversation because I think I can tell that you guys are more of a fan of their early stuff, and I'm surprisingly more of a fan of their early 80s, like early mid 80s stuff.
Yeah. My favorite period is from the beginning up until Getty started experimenting with synthesizers. And then I was like, not so much. Not so much. Like after Moving Pictures,
And funny enough, my favorite Rush album is Grace Under Pressure. Yeah. Yep. So, but I get it. Like in the mid to late 80s, well, particularly Power Windows and Hold Your Fire. Yeah, Getty did get a little overboard with the synthesizers.
I've seen him on an interview. There's a really good documentary on them on Netflix. Very good. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's a Rush documentary. Very good documentary.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
And he admits on there that, like, yeah, it probably wasn't the best idea.
Well, apparently Alex was annoyed, and can't say that I blame him because didn't really get to contribute to the albums from that period.
Yeah. Not as much anyway.
Not as much, yeah.
Might played a little rhythm on it or something, but yeah. There's another one, Getty. There's an argument on whether Getty can sing or not. His voice certainly is unique. I like his voice.
I
but
do
there's
too.
A lot of people that don't. So.
I've heard that, like, oh, he sounds like a girl. Like, who cares? There's a lot of singers. You don't think that Robert Plant sometimes sounds like a girl when he sings? I mean, come on.
Yeah, but Robert Plant had that pure animal sexuality
That's
about
true.
him.
Yep. Yep. Not gonna lie there.
Doc Dog says, I think it was Doc Dog says Rush can stay in Canuckistan for all I give a crap, and that's fine. You can feel that way.
You're wrong.
But that's fine. Alex used to get really nervous when I'd get off on rock and roll because he was afraid people would get mad because, he knows people have different tastes in music. I was like, no, man. I think most people understand, or at least the people in my chat understand that music is subjective. It's you like what you like, and that's it. You don't like what you don't like, and all of it's okay.
Well, and it seems like a lot of people in the chat seem to kind of agree with us, or they share their own similar musical tastes,
Sure. Yeah. The main thing for me, because I'm so music oriented and it's so important in my life, or has been important in my life, is are you enjoying music? It doesn't matter what genre it is. Are you enjoying it? Or does it mean something to you? And that's the thing. Whatever kind of music you like, enjoy it. Make it a part of your life.
Yep, absolutely. Music is one of the best medicines.
It is,
in my humble opinion.
It is. When I'm mad, I listen to music. When I'm
Yep.
sad, I listen to music.
Yep.
When I'm in a good mood, I listen to music.
Me too. Mhm.
uh,
You know, they say that laughter is the best medicine, but I have to say that, hey, music is
yeah,
just as good as a medicine, you know?
yeah, yeah. And having said that, that's the 2 hours. My
Wow.
goodness. Yeah, it goes fast, doesn't it?
It does.
And I like to think it's because of the format, if that's what you want to call it, because this stream really doesn't have a format. But if it does, it's that everything's, it just whatever we
Mhm.
talk about, that's good.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, we're at the end of that 2 hours. I'm getting very tired, and I can feel my voice starting to go. But thank you, chat, for coming out. As always, thank you for your likes, your shares, your comments in the chat, all of that stuff. I just love you guys to pieces. And this stage, this channel could not exist without you. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's your channel. It just has my name on it. That's all.
Mhm.
And thank you to those that were able to go a step further and give the donations. Certainly appreciate that, and it will go to good use. Lindsay, thank you very much. I enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed yourself.
Absolutely did.
Is there anything you want to give a shout out to, or?
Sure. Well, I have a channel, and those of you who want to get a break from politics and real life news related stuff, yeah, come and check out my channel. I discuss entertainment and pop related content. And as of lately, I've been covering the debacle that is the Walker Stalker convention. So definitely check out those videos. In fact, I'd highly recommend you share those videos because it's something that consumers should be aware of. So, and then I do the occasional streams like this, but I post when I can because, well, I have a life.
Yep.
And
There you go. Go check it out, folks. As for me, like I said, there will not be a stream Tuesday. There will not be a stream Thursday, as well as next Tuesday and Thursday. But there should be, unless something extreme happens, next Saturday a stream. And hopefully I will get episode 20 of Redneck Trek done between now and then. Now that I've at least know what my schedule is, it'll be easier to work around. So be on the lookout for that. But anyway, thanks again, everybody. And as always, get out of my yard.
bye, everyone.